Okay, hello everyone. So I just wanted to come here and talk about the NBT. I know there isn't like a lot of information online about how the NBT is, what you need to know about it. And I know it's really stressful for matriculants and grade 11s right now, so I thought I'd just make a video about it to clarify some things. Okay, so in a normal setting, by normal I mean in a scenario with no COVID, you would arrive on the day to the place that you made the booking at, and you have to be there at 7:30 to start writing at about 8 or 8:30. Okay, so the first test you're going to be writing is the AQL, and the AQL is basically just English and Math Lit. And many people don't bother to prepare for it because it's like, oh yeah, how hard can it be? It's not particularly hard, but it is quite tricky because it's not just one exam. The MAT is just one long test. The AQL is a 3-hour long exam that's split up into 7 individual tests, and they all take, and you have a time limit on that as well. Some of them you have to be finished in 25 minutes, some 30, and that makes it a lot more stressful. The questions that they ask you in the English AQL, they are quite tricky. I like English and I'm good at English. So from what, in my opinion, I think that there are 2 questions that are definitely wrong, and there are 2 questions that could be right. And with the English, they ask you quite difficult questions. Difficult in the sense of one of the questions might be, what did the writer mean by paragraph 2? What was the style of paragraph 5? Or paragraph 3 would be stating a whole bunch of things, and they'll ask you, what is the main topic of this paragraph? You really have to do a lot of English and have a lot of practice in English, or maybe just read a lot to answer those questions. And I think that's where the book report, I know a lot of people in school, they were like, why do we even do this? Yeah, that's why. That is why. So another thing is vocabulary. You need to know the word unambiguous in the sentence. What could it be replaced with? And if you've never seen the word unambiguous before, how are you gonna know? You know what I mean? You can't really prepare for that. But I would suggest that if you grade 11 or grade 12, I would suggest, if you wanted some more practice in that because you're really bad, I would suggest asking your English teacher for papers, like not maybe some reading activities where you could edit it or replace certain words with other words, stuff like that. I think it would help you. The math literacy question, the math literacy section, it's mainly graphs and how well you can interpret graphs. Another thing is they use really big numbers. So they will tell you, right, it would be a graph, for example, it would be a pie chart of all the provinces in South Africa. Then they'd say the Northern Cape has 20% of South Africa's population. So if South Africa has 58 million people, what's 20% of that? And then you need to think of a way to do it very quickly. Obviously you don't want to do a big sum, but so what you're going to do, you know what I mean? The MAT, this is still in a normal COVID free situation. The MAT was quite hard. It was hard. You spend 3 hours, you get there at 7:30. It's early in the morning, you're writing from 8. And then 3 hours later, you get about a 40-minute break. And then in that 40 minutes is your bathroom break, it's your lunch break, do whatever you want. And then it's the MAT. The MAT was less stressful because you had the full 3 hours to write the MAT. But the questions were quite difficult. Mainly because the stuff that they asked you was trigonometric identities. And they asked a lot, and yeah, it was quite hard stuff. It was trigonometry, it was functions, it was translations, it was arithmetic. So it was quite difficult, and they do give you a formula sheet. There is a formula sheet, but the formula sheet doesn't really help, because they will ask you a question like, okay, there was a question, or they would give you a parabola, and they'll ask you what is the maximum or minimum value of that parabola. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, they didn't really teach us how to do that type of things, so it was quite challenging the first time around, and I also didn't pay at all. So, but I mean, yeah, I feel like, oh wait, a lot of people recommended this book, yeah. Yeah, if you have that book, or if you're thinking about getting that book, in my opinion, this book doesn't help. It doesn't help. Okay, so writing the NBT in the COVID situation, you need to download a lockdown browser. In other words, with this browser, you cannot go anywhere in your PC. Like, you cannot access your sticky notes, you cannot do any of that. The only thing, yeah, and you can't have anything with you or be looking anywhere like a phone or a calculator, because they're watching you through your webcam. So your browser, your computer is basically made redundant, that you can't go anywhere besides this test, and they're also watching you to make sure that you're not doing anything that you aren't supposed to. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The writing the AQL for the second time around was obviously a bit easier. It was a lot easier, because a lot of the short stories that they used, I saw it already. So I mean, I don't know if they used the same thing twice, or just because of like how I was preparing, but I was quite familiar with most of the texts that they used, so that made it a bit easier. The MAT was so easy the second time around. I don't know if they made it easier because a lot of the matriculants aren't, or because of their situation, but it was really easy. The main thing that they asked was trigonometric questions, like trigonometric identities and functions. That was like about 70% of the test, and if you're bad at that, I'd recommend that you work on it. Very few of the questions were arithmetic, but it was really easy. It was so easy. And yeah, if you were scared about writing it during this lockdown time, and you matric and you apply to varsity or whatever, just write it. I mean, just write it. Just work on some trigonometry, work on functions, but just write it. I know that for some people the NBT can be like the difference from getting into varsity or not, because sometimes if you do bad in matric and your NBT results are really good, you can still get accepted into what you want to do. So I know how stressful it can be, but so yeah, that's why I made this, just to kind of help. There are two sites that you can use, well, two sites that I know of that will really help you with the NBT. The first one is called Olico Math. I will link it down in the description so that you can see. The Olico Math only prepares you for the MAT, and it prepares you for the maths literacy. They give you a PDF, and they give you various quizzes to help you with to help you prepare. The second site is called Advantage Learn. Advantage Learn is not free. I'll also link that down in the description, but I highly recommend them. I really do. They give you Advantage Learn gives you videos on how to do certain things, how to solve certain questions. They also give you videos. They give you videos on the MAT and the videos on AQL. And they give you like sample worksheets, pre-course mock tests, post-course mock tests, all sorts of things. And it helped so much, you wouldn't believe. Like, I think that's actually where I saw some of the AQL texts. Like, it was so familiar. It's like, oh, okay, when they ask you this question, the answer has to look something like that. They were really helpful, and I do recommend them. So yeah, okay. If you guys watched this video and it helped you, please let me know. If you have any questions, comment them down below and I'll answer you guys. I know the NBT can be really stressful, and I know with all going on for matrics in grade 11, I can't imagine how it must be for you guys. So that's why I wanted to make a video, just to give an updated version of what the NBT is like. And yeah, I don't know if I covered everything that I should have, but if not, just ask questions in the comments and I'll be happy to answer.